Oh, we having some. Welcome to another episode of Kicks, Cleats, and Athletes. It's your boy JD, and we got our resident kickologist Jimmy T. What's good?
Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, we won down tonight,
Yeah,
so
we missing one.
for everybody listening, our boy EJ is not gonna make it tonight. He's actually pursuing his wrestling career. So if you remember back from last season, we were trying to figure out a good name for him. And so I think he is taking on Captain Bionic, and he's trying to
Wait,
pursue
Captain
that.
Bionic. I thought it was the plumber.
Was it the plum? I thought he was
Y-
no, I don't know.
Yeah, I thought we came up with the plumber for him. Laying
Oh,
pipe
well.
since 1987.
Well, so
he, yeah, he's.
so
I mean, I think he's at tryouts right now, guys. So, wish
you
EJ
know,
luck.
that's right. All the best of luck. We'll definitely give you guys an update, when we hear from him. And our next week, we'll give you guys an update. We'll let him tell it how it went, things like that. He trying to be the next like Rock or Booker T or somebody. So I don't know. I guess you're never too old to follow a dream. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
But we got a great show in store for you guys. Nevertheless, we're definitely going to be hitting you guys with the week 3 NFL season. Give you some college, and we always got to leave you with some kicks of the week in trivia. So we're going to hop right into it and get the show going. So we'll start with college first. So we had some of our top 10 teams had a few scares over the weekend. They survived. FSU survived against Clemson during in overtime. Bama off to a slow start, but they held on for the victory against Ole Miss. And then Ohio State with the rushing touchdown with 1 second left in the game to win it. I mean, whew,
10 men on the
what a
field for defense.
So let's start with that game then. Do you think another player would have changed the outcome?
It could have. I mean, it could. I mean, if they were reading it the right way, they're looking over and you don't have anybody lined up over the guard and tackle on the left side. So if they're reading it the right way, that's an obvious place you want to go with it. So yes, Marcus Freeman's excuse. Well, I don't want to say excuse. His reasoning for it was that he didn't want to take a penalty or call a timeout and run another man on the field. But I mean, how did you get to that spot anyway? I don't know. It was just a weird situation because it was coming out of a timeout, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. You
it
gotta. Those
was.
are the type of things that you can't have. And I think, I mean, it's not like the game wasn't close or was. You have people that there's packages that you need for certain things. The players need to be attentive. But it was it was such a back and forth game. It was crazy. It came down to to that last play. I mean, it was a walk off, and they had to score the touchdown. It was interesting. It was but it could have made a difference. It could not have. I mean, they were running them. They were worn down on that last drive.
Yeah, they definitely were. I mean, we're talking about one play of the game or one last play of the game. You take that time out. You make sure that your team understands the severity. Like, look, this is how serious this is right now. This is our opportunity to make a name for ourselves, to put us in contention to be competing for a national championship. Like, we need this win.
They don't have a
And
conference championship either, so those are the type of losses they can't really take.
exactly. So I
They
mean, this kind of
they can
knocked them
afford the
out.
one maybe.
Mm, I mean, you would now need to hope that Michigan loses, and Ohio. I mean, obviously between Michigan and Ohio State, one of them are going to lose, and even Penn State. because they all play each other. So someone's losing there. One might lose twice. Um, but then what happens if they all split there? So Notre Dame needs a lot to happen. They need Florida State to lose. They're gonna need Georgia to lose. They're gonna need again Michigan to lose. They're gonna need Texas to lose. Like there's a lot of teams now that they need to lose where destiny essentially was in their own hands because it's not like they
Mm-hmm.
play, a tough one. I mean, they'll have USC as well on their
Yep.
schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But now
Duke
you definitely
this
can't
weekend.
afford to lose both.
Yep.
Yeah, and Duke,
And I
yeah.
don't know
So
if Clemson climbs their way back into being a top team
nah,
because I don't know what they have on their schedule to really deliver that going
yeah,
forward.
yeah. I think the games that they've lost were kind of, you know, nail in
They
the
would have to beat.
coffin for the
I
most
think they would
part.
have to beat Duke and USC decisively. Very one sided. And then you're right. Probably hope for a couple of things to happen. I mean, college football season, a lot of different things happen. There's always
Right. I
something
mean,
crazy, but they're
because
gonna
you
have
need
to. I mean, Ohio State basically has the tiebreaker over them. So if they go out and beat Michigan, win the Big 12, there's no shot.
nah.
So it's kind of like they want them to win to make their strength of schedule look a little better, but they also need them to not take up that additional spot. So that it depends. It depends on how the Big 12 shakes out. If Texas run the table, you have probably an SEC, a Big 12, a Pac-12, and then a Big 10.
Nah,
So
I don't think you have a Pac-12 in there.
no, you think
USC,
USC, Utah beat each other up, Oregon beat each other up?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They're all gonna, USC always finds a way to lose some game that they got no business losing, and it's gonna be the downfall because well, maybe this year might be a little different because the Pac-12 seems to be a little stronger than normal.
it's
I
the
think they're
quarterback conference.
definitely
They got a ton of quarterbacks in that conference. Washington too. We can't forget about
yeah.
Washington
That's true.
because
That's true because
Penix,
they're what number
he could
9 or
ball.
10? Yeah. So it's interesting to see. I mean, the Pac-12 trying to make sure they go out on a bang. And they're like,
Right.
oh,
And it's funny how it's the
oh.
last season and they got all these good quarterbacks coming. I mean, they're going to have guys drafted all over the first, second, and third round.
But what's crazy to think though is like, would they have secured TV rights and everything they were looking for with knowing, if they were able to think ahead or project ahead? Because right now, I mean, they're probably I don't want to say top to bottom, but I mean, they probably have the most teams in the top 25 right now in the Pac-12.
Well, yeah, I
And
mean,
then,
but is it
and then,
consistent enough? And as
well,
as an East Coast viewer, right? Ask yourself this question because most of your rating is going to come from the East Coast. Are you watching those Pac-12 teams on a regular basis? Even though like right now, I'll catch. I was like, okay, USC's on, but I don't make it a priority. Like Washington's
so,
on. I don't make it a
so I
priority.
think,
Like I want to, I
no,
want to tune in and see him play, but I just don't know. So I think that's what's going into like, all right, we got to start making some moves so we can continue to create that revenue for our program and our school. So I
no, I
don't I
feel
don't
you
know. I
there.
don't know if it was going to be anything that was going to survive over time.
But I'll tell you what though, they should have hung on to the coattails of Colorado because everybody tunes in to see what Colorado's going to do. And I think it's the Dion effect. The same thing with the MLS. It's the Messi effect. Messi came over to the MLS and everything. Ticket prices, people just loving watching soccer and this, that, and the other. And I think
Mm.
Dion did the same thing for Colorado and the Pac-12. I don't want to say college football because college football is bigger than one person, but for Colorado football and for fans of college football, I think Dion definitely brought something. The way he went about putting the team together and him coming over and this, that, and the other. It's must see TV. Everybody is tuning in because I just saw that they had I think their game was the highest watched game with like 10 million viewers or something like that. And just below them was, I think it was a Notre Dame Ohio State game at like 9.8 million viewers or something like that. So I mean, people are tuning in to watch Colorado, and so now it's like you got Colorado who everybody is watching. You got USC, Oregon, Utah, Oregon State, Washington. You got a good amount of teams in your Pac 12 that are actually doing something decent at the beginning of the season. Now, when
Does
it's
it
all
wear
said
off
and
though?
done, of course it does.
Do
Because when it's all
people,
said and
as
done,
Colorado starts losing to these bigger schools and are uncompetitive, do people continue to tune in?
no.
That's
And I think if they get blown out again this weekend against USC, I think the luster of
yeah.
Colorado will be gone. I don't think people would tune in. It's one of those because at week one, they caught everybody by surprise when they beat TCU. It was like, oh, okay. And so
Hmm.
then you tuned in the second week, like, all right, are they going to do it again? Then the third week, against Colorado State, you go into double overtime. So it's like it kept building up, and they're like, wow, wait, do they really have a chance? And I think, that answer was or that question was answered on Saturday night or Saturday afternoon, I should say, when Oregon just went to work on them. They
Hmm.
had no answer at all. And you could definitely see that they're not there yet, but they're on their way.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna bring top talent, but it takes time to build a program. It does, and I know everybody wanted to be like, oh, Dion's doing it, and other coaches aren't, and things like that. But it's just we. I said it. I was like, we don't know how good TCU is. We'll wait and see. And then Colorado State actually outplayed them in that football game. They were lucky to come out with the win. So but then you go against an Oregon team who's been recruiting at a high level for a long time, and there's just too much talent on the other end of that. It's going to be the same thing at USC, Utah, probably the same way. They play. I'm not sure. Do they play Washington this year? The
I'm
same
not
way. They're
sure who
just in
Utah.
the trenches right now. The way that they, I mean, he brought over a ton of skill players, but in the trenches, they need help. They need guys that are going to come in, develop. It's going to take a couple of years for them to be able to do that because it's hard to put together guys in the offensive defensive line that are really going to make a huge impact. You got to start. You can't do it all through the transfer portal, even though it's you can get some guys here and there to plug and play. You're going to have to start putting together top 15, top 20 classes, and build from there. Because it's not sustainable all the way through. And you can like again the transfer portal. I mean, it's uncountable how many players are in there, and a lot of those players were recruited at a high level.
Hmm.
Whatever happens, they're mad about playing time, don't like the coaching change, whatever it might be. There's good players out there that you can plug and play. But eventually you have to get that top 25 players from your high school pool and continue to develop it that way because you're not if you get a guy who's going to come in for the transport, play 1 year and go to the league, you're not building the depth that you need. So it's going to take time. But I have no doubt. I mean, the Dion effect isn't going to go away as long as he's there.
No.
It's
And I just was listening that Warren Sapp is planning on joining his staff next year as the D line
yeah.
coach,
And
as
he's
an
done a good
assistant.
job. A lot of these guys that he's hired were up and coming coaches. Maybe some guys you haven't heard of, but I mean they've done a good job. It's just there's only so much you can do when the offensive line can't. I mean, Shador is running for his life. So it takes time. It takes time, and it's you're having because the Colorado's going to the Big 12. So you'll have that footprint as well, where you'll have some. The Big 12 is kind of centered around the middle of the United States where you have those Texas kids and things like that. Though thinking about okay, well Texas isn't really showing me the love. Let me go to Colorado. And I'll be able to play in front of my family in some areas down in the Big 12, TCU, Baylor, uh, those type of schools where you're still there. So he'll be able to recruit anywhere. He went down to Miami and picked up the number one corner last year and flipped him from the Hurricanes. So he's going to be able to do
Yeah, but
those
he
type of things
doesn't.
because of his name.
He's not getting no play though. It's funny you bring him up. I
He
was just reading about him.
Yeah. Well, they asked him directly about because when Travis Hunter went down, they're like, "Was Carmona going to play?" And he's like, "I probably not." And they're like, "What's holding him back?" And he said he is. So there's something there where he's not either not working hard or he thought he was going to be able to walk in and do whatever he wants to do. That's
Well,
good.
no,
That's
Dion.
I mean, he's holding them accountable. You know, like just because you were the number one cornerback in their class doesn't mean you're just going to come in and just and play if you're not working hard or doing the things that you need to do in class. Whatever it is, I don't know what it is. I'm not going to
Oh,
assume.
Dion said it. He
Oh, did
said,
he?
yeah, he was like, missing meetings or coming to meetings late, not watching enough film, not
Oh, yeah.
understanding schemes. So he was like, until he starts to work on those things and like, show me that, he's ready, he's not going to see the field really. Cause, but yeah, he answered that question. He said he's late to meetings, or
Mm,
he's missing meetings, not putting enough time in the film room. So he's just not understanding schemes and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
it's a work in progress. I mean, he's a freshman. So, at the end of the day, I think for him in particular, like you're not going to learn that cornerback position from anyone better than Dion. And so I'm hoping that for his sake, you know, he doesn't get too anxious and like, you know what, I need to leave or I want to transfer where I could go somewhere and I could play right now. I'm hoping that he puts in the time, he puts in the effort for his skill and learn from Dion. Because I mean, just from what I've seen so far and what kind of gets put out there, Dion is all about his team. Because I mean, I know he shared a text from Travis Hunter
Yeah, I saw that.
as well. Yeah, so it's like he's more focused on them as young men and making sure that they do this the right way than worrying about oh well, you're a 5-star, so I'm gonna put you on the field right now. Like, nah. So we're gonna see. We'll see. Colorado's gonna have a few more opportunities to show if they're going to be dominant or not, or are they going to be worth speaking about as we move forward, because they still have to play Utah, they still got Oregon State, they have Washington State. So they still have some ranked teams that they need to take care of still. But we'll see how they go. Once again, we'll jump into, FSU. Again, second week in a row. They barely got by. Last week it was, well, the week before it was Boston College. Last week it's Clemson, a team that they hadn't beaten in quite some time. So, that was nice for them to see that they could get over that hump, but they don't look like a top 5 team to me. They're barely getting by. So I don't know. I don't know
I
what's going on with them.
I don't see it the way you see it. You mentioned it earlier when we were talking about what we want to do for the show that they barely escaped. I mean, listen, Clemson's had their number. And Clemson has talent on their team. But we
Clemson's
talked
not
about it.
good though.
Well, Clemson's good. The
Yeah,
quarterback is not good.
Clemson's
And
not
that's
good.
I still
Besides
think Clemson
besides
Clemson probably wins the rest of their games this year.
no.
You don't think so?
Besides Shipley, who seems like he's been there for about 10 years, who else on their team is any good?
I mean, they've had guys coming
No,
in
they've had. Where are
on a
they?
regular
Because
basis.
because
I think
because
the talent is. I
Dabo
mean, the
doesn't
defensive talent
believe
down there is good.
Dabo
I just
doesn't
don't think
believe
it's
in the transfer
as I just
portal.
don't think it's as cut and dry as you think it is. Oh, they barely escaped. I mean, it's Clemson's gonna have talent. They're missing something at the quarterback position in their
So so
evaluation.
so let me ask you this then. Do they beat Miami?
I don't know because I don't. Miami still ain't played nobody yet. I know they're down there like Miami is
They
back and then all
they
that,
beat
but
they beat
they've been
Texas
back for
A&M.
15 years, huh?
Wait, they beat Texas A&M.
That, how
Okay.
how much
Okay.
how good do you think Texas A&M actually is?
All right. We'll
Every
move
year,
on.
Texas A&M. Every year, Texas A&M. I get it. It's an SEC school. But when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm not moved.
So right now Clemson is 2-2, right? And
Okay.
their two wins are Charleston Southern
Mm-hmm.
and Florida Atlantic. That's it.
Okay. All right.
And they've
And
lost
then
to
they lost
Duke
to the number
Duke
4 team in the country. They lost to
Duke and
Duke,
Florida State.
and Duke still looks solid. Both
Well,
teams
we'll
that are
see.
combined, what 8-0.
Okay.
Both games were close,
No, they weren't.
right?
Duke beat
Clemson
them 28-7.
Clemson beat themselves in that game. They kept
That
turning the
doesn't
ball over
matter.
inside the inside the 10.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter. I mean,
It
I'm
doesn't.
not saying. I mean, the total outcome of the game doesn't, but I just feel like they're not as. I mean, I get it, like because we're used to Clemson running the table in the ACC and all that, But I just I just don't think Florida State skated by. I don't, And listen, those games happen throughout the year,
Look,
but a team that's had
if
your number on the road, that's a big win for
look,
them.
did you watch that game at all by any chance?
I didn't, so you're gonna have to tell me
Okay.
what you saw. So
So that
you're gonna have to tell me what you saw. So this is me just speculating. So just so you know, I didn't watch the game, so I don't have any expert analysis about it. So I'm gonna let Jason break it down for everybody.
all right. So first of all, Clemson had an opportunity to kind of seal the deal, and quarterback threw a pick. Nevertheless, Florida State comes down, scores, ties up the game with about I don't know, a minute 40 left in the game or so. Clemson has the ball. They're moving down the field. So all you need to do is just keep running out the clock, so you have last possession. They get to like a second down in something with the clock running still, and Dabo calls a pass play. Incomplete pass. Like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're in field goal range. Why are you throwing the ball?
That was not the
So
offensive
now,
coordinator though.
so now the third down comes. They try to run. It goes nowhere. Fourth down, they go for the field goal, miss it. And now Florida State had the ball, and
What's the
that's
score
when
at this point in time?
it was a tie game. So
It's a tie
whatever,
game.
what,
Okay. And this
24
is in regulation
24
still.
in regulation. So this is
Okay.
24-24.
I got you.
And then Florida State gets the ball, obviously, off the missed field goal, and they got about, I don't know, maybe 45 seconds or so, and they're driving, but obviously they fall short. So the game ends up going into, overtime. But Clemson had an opportunity to seal that deal. Like, instead of passing the ball, run it. Even though your run game wasn't the best, but you would have worked now more clock. You probably would have got a few yards closer to help your field goal kicker out, because it was like a 46-7 yard field goal. So I mean, it's nothing to sneeze at. So it was it was out there, but it was makeable, and he shanked it. He just missed it.
Mm.
And so I just think
He
it was bad
yeah.
coaching. I
He
think
um he shanked a few in that first game against Duke too. I watched that entire game. They were talking about ad nauseum how much confidence they had in the young kicker, and they just kept going out there
well,
and
no, no,
booting
no,
that
no.
thing.
So hold on now. So
Oh, okay.
it
My
wasn't
bad.
it wasn't the same kicker.
Oh, it's a different kicker.
It's a different kicker.
Oh, so they pulled the freshman.
So this kicker was their backup kicker last year who graduated,
Mm-hmm.
and Dabo called him up and was like, "Hey, what you doing?"
Oof.
And he was like, "Nothing. I'm just in grad school." He's in grad school. So he
Wait,
was like,
he wasn't on the roster before this game?
"No,
Oh my
no."
god.
And so Dabo was like, "Hey, since you got a year of eligibility left, come on back. You could be our kicker." So Buddy came back, and unfortunately he missed the game win. I mean, he made field goal throughout the game, and he made his extra points, so he was fine. It was just that pressure moment,
Mm-hmm.
he fell short. So yeah,
Mm.
so it was a different kicker. But I don't know. Like I said, FSU, to me, FSU got lucky in that game. Like, Clemson had them. Clemson didn't play the best, but I thought they played well enough to come away with the victory. They just fell short. And I think, again,
What does Florida State have coming up? So they got to play Duke. Looks like they get them at home,
they still got to play Miami. That's
and they got to
always a
play
big
Miami. Oh,
rivalry.
Miami's later in the year, isn't it? Usually earlier in the year. This one's
Nah,
in November.
oh, it's later than normal because they normally
Yeah,
play around October time.
yeah, they're playing in November, so they'll have
That's the
Miami,
first.
and then basically North Alabama, and then they go to Florida. So they have Duke, Miami, Florida. So we'll see how those teams end up. If Duke beats Notre Dame this weekend, though, that's going to end up being a big game.
Oh, it will be.
It'll be a big game, and this will be in Tallahassee. So we'll see how that works out.
I
But I
mean,
mean, they had the potential to go into that Miami game undefeated.
I
They would
mean,
be
I feel like
8-0 at that point in time.
Miami has the potential as well.
Yeah, who's Miami
You
have
know,
on their record? Let's see who they
well, they
got.
got North Carolina is going to be a big one. I mean, they got Georgia Tech. I feel like Georgia Tech always
Yeah,
gives
see,
people
Florida State misses
problems.
North Carolina this year. They don't have to play them.
No, they do.
Do
They
they?
play them.
Did I
Mhm.
overlook that?
I think so. They play them. No, they don't. Oh, it was
Okay.
Clemson I was looking at that plays North Carolina still.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't they escaped that one this year. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Miami has Georgia Tech this weekend. Then they'll go to
Nah, Miami's on a
Chapel
bye
Hill.
this weekend.
Oh, is it by this weekend? And then they go to
Yeah.
Georgia Tech, and then
Then they
they go
go.
to Chapel Hill, and then they
Yeah.
have Clemson. So the two back to backs, and then they'll go to Florida State.
So
Okay. Yeah.
I
So I
don't
mean,
know.
they could be. I don't know. They could be come down to maybe bring back that the interstate rivalry, make it a little bit more fun.
Definitely. It's gonna be it'll be a big one for recruits, especially if they're both undefeated by that time. That's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be a huge game.
Yep.
So, we'll see how it goes. We will see how it goes. But you know what? Let's jump into the NFL. Feel like, you know what? I feel like one of the games in particular I watched remind me of a college football game. It remind me when that man EJ was at my house and I played him in Madden and beat him 100 and something. I
Oh
think it
man,
was
is
like
not safe.
I gotta look for that. I got a picture of it. I gotta look for it. It was like a
You took
hundred
a
and
picture of it.
something. So yep, I beat him by like 80 points, 80 or 90 points in Madden, and
I
that's
mean,
what it
that's what it
felt like.
was. I
That's what
listen,
I felt like I
as a football
watched on
fan,
Sunday.
right? You can count in sevens. So when you look up and you see somebody like, whoa, bro, they scored 10 touchdowns, 10 in the NFL. I mean, woof,
So I mean, if you
woof.
were living under a rock, you have no idea what we're talking about. The Miami Dolphins went to work on the Broncos. 70-20. Like absolutely unheard of. Unheard of. And they fell short of the NFL record. It was the record 72 points. And then I feel like they fell short in total yards by about 10, which I think was like 736, 734. And I think they finished with like 724 total offensive yards. So they had a feast of a day.
Since 1966, the most
Yes.
total points. That's
So
crazy.
before we talk about the game in particular, I'm gonna ask you one question.
Got
If
you.
you're the coach,
Uh-huh.
are you kicking the field goal at the end to break the record?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Well,
Why not?
you know what I do? You know what I would do in that situation? I would go ask the players. What do y'all want to do?
Why? Why? What's the point?
Eh,
What's the
what's the
point?
point of kicking the field goal?
What do you mean? I'm going for the record. What do you mean? What's the point?
I mean, listen, I'm always on the side of if you don't want me to do it, stop it. Always been that way.
This
Doesn't
is how
matter if it's baseball, you hit a piss missile, you don't want them bat flipping. Well, don't throw a meatball up there. So I've always been about that. I always been about that. Where were they? Were they in range?
it would have been maybe a 20 something yard. It would have been like a chip shot at
Yeah.
between 25 and
How much
35
time was
yards.
left? How much time was left?
I don't even know. Like maybe because they took a knee at the end. So then maybe a minute 50, minute 45, somewhere in that area.
Yeah. I don't know. Fight breaks out,
Why?
somebody gets hurt.
What
I
what
don't
is a
know.
fight? Why is a fight breaking out?
They might feel disrespected on the other side. If you're getting beat
Jimmy,
by
Jimmy, the score is 70-20. You should already feel disrespected. Three
well,
more points wouldn't matter.
but
You're
those
telling
were
me,
just
wait, you're
yeah.
telling me
That's
three
you
more
stacking
points
it
would matter?
on versus that's you stacking it on. Because in every other situation, you kneel, right? That's you stacking it on, and it's not me running the ball. I mean, they had 8 rushing touchdowns. It's not me running the ball, and you just couldn't stop me. It was I got there. I'm trying to. I get it. I get where you're
Look,
at. I'm on the fence. I'm 50-50. I don't know. I'm
look,
just I'm trying to play devil's advocate on the other side. I
you
don't know.
can't, you can't. You have already been embarrassed. 3 more points is not going to do anything for you. You're already going to be in the record books for giving up the second most points in an NFL game. The only difference would have been you would have been number 1 for, the amount of points you've given up. That's the only difference.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like they
I
were going
agree.
out there
I
throwing
agree.
bombs to try to
I
break
just
a record.
if I was the
We're talking about
coach though,
3
you asked me
points.
if I was the coach. I don't know.
Man,
I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. I don't know. I know
I'm
what you would have done. Obviously, you mad they didn't go for the record is what you're saying.
I'm
That's the whole
mad.
point of you asking this question.
Yep, I'm mad about it
You mad
because, like I
about it?
said,
Okay.
I hear people talk about, you don't want to embarrass the other team, and this, that, and the other by putting up more points. But I'm like, dude, they just got 70 dropped on them. They already embarrassed.
Right.
73 is not going to matter. There's no difference between 70 and 73 in terms of being embarrassed. Like, now, if they would have said, you know what, we're gonna go for it, and on fourth down they decide, you know what, we're not gonna kick the field goal, but we're gonna throw the ball, or we're gonna rush or something like that, then I'd be like, damn, okay, you know what? But on fourth down they took a knee. So it's like, all right, you either kick the field goal, or in this case take the knee if you're not worried about it. But if they would have come out on fourth down and threw the ball or tried running for it again, then I would have been like, damn, yeah, they was really trying to rub it in their face. But I mean,
Uh,
take the field goal, get the record,
yeah.
because the chances of seeing that again, are probably going to be slim for us to see another professional team
70.
put up 70.
These are grown men
And
getting paychecks, getting 70 dropped on their head. That's
so now let me flip it to the other side. You the Denver Broncos, you Sean Payton, right?
mm-hmm.
Why are you keeping Russell Westbrook,
Yeah,
Russell
I do that
Wilson?
too.
Why are you keeping Russell Wilson in this game
Did he play the entire game?
the entire game?
Wow. Um, I don't know. You know, remember how we were talking about you talk about Brian Daboll pissed off in the first week when he was just keeping these guys out there with his arms crossed? That's how I
Yep.
feel. It's like, listen, if you're gonna suck out there and get embarrassed, just like me standing on this sideline. So I don't know. I mean, I it seems like they're 0-3. It seems like that he's going to push this all the way until there's absolutely no choice but to get rid of Russell Wilson, to eat the money for new ownership, to go a different direction. I mean, they already gave up. So their first pick last year and their first pick this year, right? And then they paid him the big contract.
Mm-hmm.
So next year they'll start picking in the first round again. I think he's probably trying to let's see. This is why I can't win with this guy. We're 0-3. We need to start going the other direction, and they
So
can
so
maybe
you
start trading off some guys to get some more draft capital. I don't know.
so is this a make or break week for Russell Wilson? They play the Bears this week, I believe, which is
If
also
he goes out
0-3.
if they're both 0-3, if he goes out and looks bad, I think he gets the nod from ownership to say, all right, play somebody else.
Really
Yeah.
interesting.
If he goes,
Okay.
I tell you what though, the first 2 weeks he didn't look bad. He looked okay. He
I don't
wasn't.
think
He
he I don't think he looked bad on
I didn't see this
Sunday.
game. So this is the one game that I wasn't able to tune into. I was watching all of it kind of pass by my eyes on Red Zone, but I didn't get a chance because the Broncos have been playing a little later. So I've actually gotten a chance to watch. I would say 3/4 of the game if I put everything together. So I've seen him play a ton. I thought he looked good, not great, but good in the first 2 games. I didn't see this one. It wasn't. It's not his fault. 20 points
So
in a regular NFL game, you're probably in the game.
well, so
The other
let me
team's
read
not scoring
you
70 every week. So
right. So let me read you his stat line, because it wasn't bad. 23 of 38, 306 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He was only sacked 1 time. So those numbers aren't bad.
did he
At
look
the end
bad
of
though? Sometimes
he I
numbers are
didn't
deceiving.
but I didn't think he looked bad.
No,
Some of that, came more so towards the end of the game. They got, some big plays closer towards the end, when by then it was like way out of reach. So he didn't look horrible. The problem is, it's like, why is he getting blamed or criticized when he doesn't play defense? The defense gave up 70 points.
Is that the narrative in the media right now? Is that it's on
The
Russ? I
To an
know. I just
extent,
said it.
yes, because
I'm thinking more of like a team failure, right? He's getting paid X amount of dollars to play, right? The team's no good. You need draft capital. You need to cut bait. You're probably going to eat a bunch of dead money regardless. It's probably time to start moving in the other direction. I'm not putting it on the quarterback that you gave up 70 points unless he was throwing pick
exactly,
sixes every other drive.
through one
But
interception. One
yeah,
interception. That was it. I mean, look, everybody is giving me back a piece of their paycheck from Sunday. Everybody. Like, look, we got a little collection plate when you come into the facility Monday morning or Tuesday morning, whatever day they went back for practice. Like, everybody need to drop at least 10 grand in this bucket. Like, you giving me back something. Because the way you guys played on Sunday, I shouldn't have to pay you for that. Like,
thinking about this defense though, it's not going to get any better. I mean, the Chiefs are going to find their footing. I'm not really banking on what they did against the Bears because I think everybody's going to do that against the Bears this year. But Chiefs are going to find their footing. Chargers have put up a ton of points. I mean, the Raiders are the Raiders, but they have to play each one of them. That's 4 more games.
so wait, so you think Denver's gonna get blown out like this again?
Not 70, but I think it's going to be ugly. I mean,
Well,
how do you justify this? Now, don't get me
so
wrong. The Dolphins' offense is on a different level, and I'm super actually really excited to watch the Bills game because the Bills defense has been playing this weekend coming up. Miami plays at Buffalo, right?
yep.
Yeah, the Bills defense has been playing real solid, so it's going to be a good offense. You're going to play a good defense. I'm really excited to watch that game. But Mike McDaniel, I don't even want to use the chess checkers analogy because that doesn't even do it justice. It's like, have you ever seen the movie Limitless, where they're
Yes.
able to tap into different parts of their brain that nobody else can? I feel like that's Mike McDaniel. He is, I mean, and I can't. There's a meme out there that says that Mike McDaniel looks like his dad runs the team, but he left him in charge while he was out of town. That's how he runs the team. I can't ever not get that out of my head when I see him on the sideline, but he's just, I mean, an offensive genius. It's unbelievable the way he's scheming this thing up. And I I don't know. But I just to go back to your question. I mean, if you're giving up 70, you're not coming out and holding somebody to 3 next week.
No.
You're probably gonna give up, there are 3 games this year. They've probably given up at least 20 points a game, right? And obviously this skews the average, but I mean it's not like they've been out there game stopping people. They gave up 35 against the Commanders, and then the Raiders. They gave up 16 or 17. So 35 and 70 in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And the Commanders got blanked this weekend.
Well, they got 6 points.
Oh, they didn't have. I looked up. They were
got
losing
6 at
35 to
the end.
nothing.
Oh
I
no,
was like,
3. No, sorry. They kicked the field goal like towards the end of the game, just so they didn't
okay.
have a goose egg.
Yeah. See, they kicked the field goal just like you wanted them to.
Well, I mean, at least somebody kicking a field goal. But I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what Denver does moving forward.
They got to rebuild. They got to rebuild. I mean, it's on offense though. They have such bad injury luck. I mean, Tim Patrick 2 years in a row. Jerry Jeudy can't stay healthy. Who else got hurt on their team? There's another player. What's the little wide receiver that plays for them that played quarterback when they were
Sutton?
down? Not Sutton. He's playing. He's a good player.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, in that game, he was so there was a couple plays that Wilson, nice throw, nice catch, the run after catch, the Miami DB, I think it was Holland. It might have been Holland. Punched the ball twice. Did it to him twice. Punched the ball right out. Fumble. Miami recovered both times. Happened twice in the game. And obviously Miami scored.
So that's
off
not
the
on
road.
Russ. You complete
Exactly.
you complete the pass. That's you done your job. You got to be able to protect the football.
Yeah, he was trying to fight for more yards and
Yeah.
they just straight punch to the ball.
I like
Out.
Javon Highland. I liked him coming out of Oregon when y'all picked him up in the draft. I think I'm a big fan of his. He's gonna be good. Probably you're gonna have to pay him in a couple years for sure.
So I mean, we'll see. We'll see definitely how it goes. But like I said, it was fun to watch. It was one of those where it was like I couldn't believe what I was watching, and I'm like, man, this is beautiful. This is such a beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
it's always fun when it's your team doing
Of
all the scoring.
course, of course. I mean, like I said, it looked
I
like
can't
a college
imagine
game.
being a Broncos fan and just being like just watching the game. Like I don't. Would you keep watching?
Nah.
You
There's
turn
no
it
way.
off?
I turn it off. I
Yeah,
turn
I
it
don't know.
off.
I
I
don't know.
think, and I turned it off when it probably got to maybe in the 40s. I'm probably like, you know what? It's a wrap. I'm not even gonna waste my time just because they weren't coming back. And then the problem
Yep.
is the defense. The defense couldn't even stop a thing. Like the running backs were just killing them. I mean, they were just running. They were doing anything they wanted. They did. And so if I'm a Denver Broncos fan, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll pass. I'm gonna hope that this week we could at least beat the Bears. So I'm gonna ask you this question: this week, who's who is this more important for? Whose win is this going to be more important for? Russell Wilson or Justin Fields? Who needs
Win or
this win
play?
more? Who needs this win more?
Win. Um, I think win. I tell you what. I don't want to change your question, but I think win. I think it's Russell Wilson because I think and what we just talked about. I think Sean Payton's looking for a reason to rebuild. I think he's looking for a reason to get the okay from ownership and start doing things a different direction, start working on maybe even, if they're trading, maybe they're even trading for players instead of draft capital. Depends. I'm not sure. Did they give him full ownership or did they do have not ownership, but control or did they have a GM? Do you know?
Hmm. I'm not sure. Not sure.
I'll look it up. I think play wise, I think it's Justin Fields. I think he needs to start showing. There was a point in the season last year, and I wasn't one of them, but there was a point in the season where I mean everybody was like, "Oh, Justin Fields, he's going to be a future MVP," and this and that because of his running ability, right? He was breaking off big chunks of runs. He was rushing for like 150 yards a game for like a 3 or 4 game stretch. But how many quarterbacks have we seen do it on a consistent basis and it leads to wins? It's one. It's Lamar Jackson. We saw Michael Vick do it a little bit, but when he was winning, it was more with the Eagles than it was the Falcons. And Andy Reid had a control of that offense, and he was running much less during that time. So right now, it's tough to. And they're not really calling the plays for that either, too. So it's a little bit of a weird situation where they're wanting him to make a decision. Maybe they don't want him to get hurt. He didn't finish the year last year. He didn't finish the year before. So maybe they're trying to protect him from hurting himself. But if that's his best play. You could do it. I didn't mention Cam Newton. Cam Newton won an MVP doing that, but his career cut short. He's still, he's still only what 34, 35 years old, somewhere around there.
Yeah, about
You
that.
know, yeah, and he's not. His career was cut short, so he needs to be able to throw the ball. Look off a defender, go through his progressions, and find the right receiver. But they also need to help him too. They might need to simplify the game again, just so he can kind of get in a groove and go forward. So I think it's his play because remember that coaching staff and that GM, they're not the ones that drafted him. So there's no loyalty there if they feel like, oh, I can't. They might have a different perspective on him than other people might say. You need to give him time. You need to work on him with this, things like that. I said it when Anthony Richardson came to the league. I wish he would have stayed another year, not just for the Florida Gators, but for his development, because it's not a developmental league. If you get thrown out there and you get put into a bad situation, the league doesn't care. They're gonna throw you to the wayside unless there's all you need is one coach that be like, I can take him and do something with it. But at the same time, they throw you to the wayside. They draft that new up and coming quarterback, especially with the way the quarterback contracts are. They always continue to talk about get it while they're on their rookie deal, because then you got to pay them and then you can't keep the players around them and so on and so forth. So it's just not a developmental league. So I think it's bigger for him to start playing well I don't know about the win because the team is not good. But I
Okay.
think he needs to play well.
So I think, all right, I hear everything you said, and I think that's why the win is more important for him than Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's won a Super Bowl. He's played in multiple Super Bowls. He's won one. So for me, there's nothing for Russell Wilson to prove. Like, we all know the type of quarterback he was in Seattle and could potentially be again in Denver. Justin Fields has proven nothing as yet. He's in his third year in the NFL, and I think maybe only won 3 games as a starter. This is again his third year as a starter, and he has nothing to really show for it, except for flashes of big games last year that he did with his legs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with coming into this week against I would feel probably a deflated Broncos team after giving up 70, you got to come out there and show what you could do. Because I know Denver's going to come out with a chip on their shoulder because they might be thinking they're the laughing stock of the NFL right now because a team just put 70 on them and blah 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 blah. But Justin Fields has to come out and do something. He has to. He has to, and I think he has to do it more so for Ohio State quarterbacks more than
Don't do
anything.
that, Jason. Don't be a helmet scouter.
First of
That's
all,
lazy.
wait, whoa, whoa, whoa,
That's
whoa.
that's
What
lazy.
what Ohio State quarterback has done anything in the NFL?
Yeah, but I mean, it's different coaching staff now. It's you got to realize that it's not just the school. You can't just be like, oh, because they came from this school, they're not good. It's
They're
because
not
it's different
though,
coaching staff.
but they're not. Let's be real about the situation. They're not good. Other positions, yes, they're fine. They come out into the NFL and they do pretty good. The
Let me
quarterback
ask you something.
position,
Let me ask you
no.
something. If you
What?
no, you're not
No,
going.
no, no,
Oh,
no,
you're saying
no.
no.
Go for
Okay,
it. Go
I was
for it.
like, dang, like, so if you're an NFL GM, right, and your job is to scout players,
Mm-hmm.
are you just not going to go to Ohio State games if you're in need for a quarterback and just like, no, we're not going to draft him because he went to Ohio State? Or are you actually going to do your due diligence? You're going to go through the process. You're going to look to see pros, cons. How does he play in this? How does he play against that coverage? Does he go through his progressions? All of that. Or are you just going to be like, nah, he
I
went to
mean,
Ohio State?
I'll do my due diligence. However, that is going to be probably a bigger factor because there's nothing to show me that any quarterback from Ohio State within the last 15 years at least has done anything in the NFL.
Okay,
Nothing.
follow up question. Okay, let's just say this is hypothetical; it'll never happen. Let's just say Lincoln Riley gets lured from USC to Ohio State. Has 2 years with a quarterback. You change your mind on Ohio State, or you're just he went to
No,
Ohio State?
no, because I don't think Kyler Murray is that good. I think he was a much better college quarterback than he is an NFL quarterback. Granted, yeah,
Oh,
he's
that's
hurt
right.
right now.
You're not sold on Caleb. You're not sold on Caleb Williams either, are you? Is
I'm
that
not
because of
sold on
Lincoln Riley, or is that
No,
because
I just don't think his game is going to pan out in the NFL. Like, I just watch how he plays in college. I think he's a phenomenal college quarterback. I just don't think he is going to be a great NFL quarterback. I just
you
don't
know
think
who
it
I think
works
is going to
out.
be a great NFL quarterback? Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah,
I
I
think
do.
I think he's gonna be really good. I think he out of the names that are gonna come out in this draft class, I think he's gonna be the best out of them coming out. I do.
Yeah, so I mean,
So I
we'll
saw this
see.
thing the other day. It's first 25 career starts. Mitchell Trubisky and Justin Fields. Trubisky's numbers are all better than his in the first 25 starts.
Wait,
Better
wait.
completion
Trubisky's numbers are better than Justin Fields.
through the
So I
first
think
25 starts.
I feel like you need to side with me then that this is more important for Justin Fields because if
For
you're
the
telling
W
me
though,
if
for
you're
the
telling
win,
me yo, you can't keep losing. You can't lose to teams that, now granted, I mean, the Bears aren't good as well, but like with a deflated Broncos team, you should come in feeling confident, like, yeah, we're gonna do this. Because the
Right.
problem is, it's like I don't know. I just, again, I'm not
It was
sold on Ohio State quarterbacks.
quite honestly, it was a very good question. I feel like I could go either way. I do think that if Justin Field comes out and plays well, though, he completes 65% of his passes, throws a couple of touchdowns, doesn't turn the ball over, maybe runs for another one, and still lose. Now they're like, all right, we're moving in the right direction.
Man, you know, if that man
Russell
EJ
Wilson, like
was
if he
here,
loses this job, he's not going to play anywhere else. So I
I think
mean,
he
the
plays
same thing
somewhere.
might be for, and I did bring it up. Obviously, it's not a developmental link. The same thing might be for Justin Fields, but I do think he'll continue to get like who's gonna go and try to who's gonna sign Russell Wilson as their backup. It's just gonna be a distraction.
I don't
Justin
think
Fields
so
might be
because
able
you
to be a
still,
journeyman and then get a shot like Geno Smith later down the road. Russ don't have
yeah,
that
but
much time left.
Geno Smith was a much better quarterback in the league even before he fell off and came back with Seattle. You know, he at least showed you he had potential in what he could do. Justin Fields, the only potential he's shown is the ability to run. That's it.
I
Like
agree.
him. So I don't know. And for Russell Wilson, I mean, you know, if the Broncos decided to cut ties with him, there's a couple teams out there that would give him a shot. The Jets, right now, if the Broncos were like, look, we're going to trade, I guarantee you the Jets would find a way to maybe try to bring him in for this year to see if they could salvage whatever they got going on because
Well,
Zach
anybody better
Wilson
than
ain't
Zach
it.
Wilson right now,
Ain't
and
it.
and Russell Wilson can run a little bit. I know Zach Wilson can too, but behind that offensive line, I saw this thing that said, it's like my favorite play of the Jets game was when Zach Wilson got sacked by Manti Te'o's girlfriend. He literally just fell down. Nobody touched him.
Yo, did you see the Jets fan that was getting pissed and lost his teeth?
Lost his teeth. Yeah. What? That's
Yo, I'll
great.
tell
That
you
was
what though, Pat's been quiet. Pat had a lot to say at the beginning of the year when Aaron Rodgers came. We ain't hear nothing from Pat about the Jets.
well.
You know, he's been quiet. He's been real
It's tough when
quiet.
your quarterback goes down with an Achilles injury.
Hey,
I mean, I don't blame him.
I mean,
I don't
he
blame
should
him.
have he shouldn't have said nothing from the beginning.
Oh
You
my
know,
god.
it's like the Knicks. You know what you're gonna get. You know what you're gonna
That
get.
yeah.
But I'll tell you what, you know what? If EJ was on the show, he'd probably be saying, like, you know what? The Broncos or the Bears, they need to get Cooper Rush, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
He gonna be
I
trying to figure out who the backup is on those teams and be like, that's who needs to be playing.
there hasn't been a time though, and I think it might be just the uptick of trades that happen in the NFL a lot over the last couple of years, but there hasn't been a time when you're kind of monitoring these teams with veteran quarterbacks just to see if they're going to get moved. Like the Rams with Stafford, the Vikings with Cousins, maybe the Broncos with Russell. I mean, those are three guys. Those are three teams right now that I mean the Broncos and the Vikings are both 0-3. And
True.
then the Rams are 1-2. They got a one win combined for the three of them through 6 games combined, 9 games combined. I'm sorry. So can someone sway them early enough because when's the trade deadline? Late October, early
Hmm.
enough to maybe salvage their season in some of these situations where they have a defense in place, there's weapons like the Jets we're talking about. And
Well,
can they take on the money? I know they re-signed they redid Aaron Rodgers' deal, but I mean, can you take on a Stafford or a Wilson contract?
nah, they don't.
They'd have to clear
Not
some more
without.
space somehow, because in order to make a trade, you have to have the cap hit, not even the contract number, but the cap hit available when you trade. So I don't even know if he can do that. I know Kirk Cousins is a little bit easier to get because his number is not as big.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see, but like I said, we got another battle of the beatens or the beatens.
Well,
So we'll
somebody's gonna have a
see.
win.
Someone will have a win, but real quick, we'll talk about two teams that were disappointing this weekend. Besides the Broncos giving up 70, the first team that was disappointing were the Cowboys. The other team that was disappointing was your Jags.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I feel like with the Cowboys, I'm just gonna say real quick, they rely so much on their defense, and in this particular game, their defense just didn't show up. They either didn't show up or Arizona just had a better game plan offensively for the defense and countered everything that was going to be, that was going to come their way. So, you could look at it a few different ways with that one. With the
Mm-hmm.
Jags, they just look bad. They
Yeah.
look bad. I feel like at the beginning of the season, towards the end of, our shows for season 1 and even going into season 2, you were all about Trevor Lawrence, MVP, MVP. Yeah, I don't know about
Yep.
that one.
Oh, he's not with how bad the team. They're just not a good football team right now. Quite simple.
What's
Trevor
wrong with
Lawrence
them?
doesn't have the support from his offensive line, who is playing very horribly right now, and then the Jags receiving core leads the league in drops. 9.
Hmm.
They're not helping him. It's as simple as that. And in my opinion, he's played fantastic. He's put balls where, and a lot of times in that, if you go back at that Chiefs game, he put 4 balls where nobody else could catch it but his receivers. They actually caught it in these 4 different situations, but they couldn't get their feet down. The reason that it had to be so close to the sideline or the back line and the end zone was because they weren't gaining separation. You got to help your quarterback. It's one thing if he's throwing dots and you're catching it, and it's one thing when you're running 10 yards wide open and he misses them. That's an issue with the quarterback. But if you're hitting your receivers on the money where no one else can catch it and you can't get your feet down, now in some of those situations it's tough, right? It's your body's moving one way and you can't get it down. But 4 different situations where they could have easily won that game if they would have caught those balls. This last game, 9 drops in the season. There's 5 or 6 in this one that were inexcusable. Calvin Ridley's rust is showing right now. He had 2 false starts. How are you false starting as a wide receiver when you're looking at the ball? He dropped 2. One was a first down, and another was either a touchdown or at the 1. Critical balls in this game. And the offensive line, he has to get the ball out. I read it today in under 2.6 seconds, which is he has to get it out. That's first in the NFL right now. The offensive line is garbage right now. Now,
I
hopefully
feel
they
I
get some when they get Cam Robinson back. They'll have some. But the thing is that Cam Robinson's replacement is top 5 in protection right now. So the middle of the line is really bad. I don't know how they're going to swing it and move these guys around, but the football team is not good. The Texans were missing 4 of their 5 offensive line, and we got 0 sacks. 0. Our defensive line played like trash. Not a good football team right now. Now, do I think they turn it around? I do, but they need to get some answers. It was one of the more frustrating games that I've watched as a Jag fan because there's so high. There's expectations with this team. Normally, in the past, I'm like, here's the same old Jags. That's how it feels. So,
don't
not
know.
a
I
good
think
football team right now.
think
Not a good football team.
You Jags fans are turning into Jets fans. Y'all keep putting these expectations just to be let down year after year. I'm not that good. But it's interesting though how you were singing Ridley's praises game 1 of the season, and now here we are about, well, you know what? Maybe it's rust. It's all of a sudden rust. He
I
was
mean,
fine. He was fine week 1, and
he
here we are week
was
3, and it's
week
rust.
3
Come
rigors
on
of the
now.
NFL.
Come
I'm
on
trying to give
now.
him the benefit. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt because he's listen. He balls in his hands.
Hmm.
Dropped it. He didn't play like that with Atlanta. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to say, all right,
Maybe
time
it's the
away.
quarterback.
Rigors of the NFL.
Maybe it's the
You know,
quarterback. Maybe
I mean, the ball couldn't get any closer. It
I
is sticking to
mean,
his hands.
sunshine might not be the answer.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you how I told. I say I didn't get into it with people because just dummies who try to they don't know what the hell they're looking at. But I told Isaiah this, my boy, who is a huge Jag fan. I was like, I know you're gonna be walking around Jacksonville this week and be talking about the Jags. Anybody that puts this on 16, you slap them in the face and put my name on it because they
Okay.
don't know what they're talking about.
That's how you feeling, huh? That's how you
That's how I feel.
feeling?
That's
All
how I feel. I
right.
think And I tell you what, there's another thing that I'm not as big on because I feel like it's so easy to go and put blame on a coach, right? I don't think this was the right choice. I don't know if you know this, but Doug Peterson actually handed over the play calling
Hmm,
to Press Taylor.
okay.
And as soon as everybody heard about it, they're like, no, what are you doing? This is the worst mistake ever. And the offense doesn't look as great. Now, I know it does have an effect. But until I still see the offensive line play better, it doesn't matter who's playing call, who's making the play calls. Doesn't matter. Now, if the offensive line is protecting, he has time back there, and like your play calling is whack, then we'll get to that. But right now, I don't even want to get to that. But that could be an impact, on game planning, hearing a different voice in your ear, those type of things. But I honestly don't think it's as big as a deal as most people are thinking are saying it is. But we'll see how that plays out. Not entirely sure it's a big deal, but until the offensive line starts playing better, I don't. That's irrelevant to me on who's
All right.
calling the plays.
So as a Jags fan, I mean, obviously they're 2-1, so it's not like they're no,
One and
they're
two.
1-2. Sorry, they're one
Yep.
and two.
1 and 2.
So where's your panic meter right now? Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being yo. I'm like, we ain't making playoffs. It's a wrap. Like, where you at on the panic meter?
If they lay an egg against the Falcons this weekend, it'll be at an 8.
Okay.
Right now, like I said earlier, I still think they turn it around, but they have to figure it out. They have to figure it out. I don't know so Cam Robinson, I didn't think this was going to be a big deal. I thought Luke Fortner, who was our rookie center last year, played very well last year. And then Brandon Scherf, big contract guy, came over on the right guard, played well last year. We had an injury to the left tackle. We had a guy kind of plug and play there. Still played well, but the other guy beat him out in camp. The middle of the line sucks right now. And if you know in any quarterback that's getting pressured from the front in your face, it's much more difficult than somebody coming off the edge because you can maneuver around, you can move up in the pocket, but when you can't do that, it's tough. It's tough, and they need to get their shit together. I'm sorry. We're going to have to put the
Okay.
explicit one on this one, but they need to get their shit together.
Fair enough.
It's
Fair
it's
enough.
garbage. So we'll see. We'll see. I think they'll probably kick in Walker Little to left guard spot once Cam Robinson gets back and play left tackle. Hopefully that shores it up a little bit, but they ran the ball fairly effectively this weekend. That was a good sign to see, but it wasn't like big runs. It was chunks of 3 and 4 and then 1,
Okay.
and they were in third and short. Offensive line fails, drop passes. I was infuriated. This is part of the reason why I didn't see some of these other games because I was like, I wasn't even interested in some of the other ones because I was very irritated.
Well, we'll
And to go
definitely
back to the
see.
Cowboys, we talked about it, right? So I'm gonna get off my Jags for a minute because I just got off. I'm gonna jump off my soapbox. But go back to the Cowboys. We said it last week. They played stress-free football the first 2 weeks.
They did.
And the Cardinals, and you mentioned it, the Cardinals came out with a good game plan. And they had a great game plan against the Giants. They just fell apart in the second half. They were up, 21 points at some point against the Giants. They just fell apart in the second half. There's a blueprint out there. I don't know if it's like if it was last year, right? Last year was run at Micah, run at Lawrence, keep them on their toes, keep them from having to be able to tee up and come after your quarterback. And they kept them in. When I did get over my 1 o'clock blues, when I was able to turn that game on, they were in third and short situations on a regular basis. So it was
Mm-hmm.
hard for them to be in attack mode because you weren't sure. You had to account for the run, and that's going to be the game plan going forward. Now, again, we talked about the Jets and the Giants, 2 of the worst offensive lines of football. I'm going to put the Jags up there with them now after what I've just watched. But the Cardinals, solid offensive line. They're not a bad. I mean, James Conner played well in this game.
Yeah, he did.
So physical run game, kept them on their toes, kept them in third and short. It's tough to tee off and go sack the quarterback when you don't know if it's going to be a run or a pass.
Yeah, I mean,
And then the offense,
definitely.
Kellen
Well,
Moore,
well, the thing is, the
run the
offense.
ball.
the offense really hasn't done much in the 3 games period.
Well,
They've been heavy reliant on their defense. So, now you needed the offense to actually step up and perform, and they struggled in the red zone. They kept they needed to make field goals because they couldn't get it in the end zone. So, I think
field
that's
goals.
going to
We missed.
be that's going to be the balance there. Like, the defense isn't always going to be on 100. So when they're only at 50 or 60, you need the offense to be at 75, 80, and not to sit in 30 every single game. And that's going to be the difference for the Cowboys. If they want to get anywhere this year, if they want to compete for the Super Bowl or, be in the Super Bowl, the offense is going to have to get it together, because what the defense could do. Like, we all know what their defense is capable of. And I think with Diggs going out for the year too, I mean, it hurts them.
Well, and that hurts the pass rush as well, right? Your pass rush can win on two different ways, right? You have great coverage on the back end, or you just outman them up front. It's one of the two, right? You know, if the quarterback can't find somebody to throw the ball to, but if they're able to get it out quick because they're picking on the other side of Gilmore, that again keeps you in third and short.
True.
Keeps them guessing on the other side on what they have to do. So sometimes you have to make up for what they're doing on the back end. And that's why they pay those cornerbacks money. If you can get one of those guys to lock down one side of the field, it allows you to do so much more in different areas.
No, I agree. I agree.
So it's a big injury. I'm not sure it impacted this game, so to speak, but it will when you get against. I think when you see Philly, when you see San Francisco, I'm just going to name NFC teams because that's who they're going to have to come up to win a Super Bowl, to get to the championship. They're going to have to go against those teams, and when they have those type of weapons outside, plus they can run the ball, put you in weird situations.
Nah, you're right. You're right. So we'll definitely
Real
see.
quick though, since I brought up Philadelphia, they can. I don't know if I'm ever going to draft anybody from fantasy from them again, because they get to the 1 yard line in this damn tush push. I mean, Jalen Hurts, like, bro, let somebody else score.
Oh, yeah.
Let somebody else score.
But I think as a running back, I'd be so upset too. It's like, I
I'd
did
be
all this
mad.
work and got caught. I got caught on the one, or got up there and I got tackled on
All
the
the work.
one. I did all this work, and you gonna let him get the touchdown? No, I'm
All the
with you
work.
there. I'm with you there.
All
I'm
the
with
work.
you.
I
Uh,
guarantee you that's topic of conversation in the and Hurts is like, I don't call the plays, bro.
exactly. But the thing is, I feel like until
So somebody
someone
can
can
stop
stop
it.
it, you're just gonna keep doing it. So hey, it
So
is what it
somebody can
is.
stop it.
So we'll see. We'll see what week 4 has in store for us. But let's move on. What do you want to hit up? Kicks or trivia first?
Let's do trivia first, and then I'll go to the kicks after that.
All right. So this is actually a question that I heard earlier today, and I was like, that's a good one. All right. So the question is, what is the only, or who in this case would be the only NFL team to start below 500 in their first 4 games of the season and still win the Super Bowl?
Giants.
Ooh, that was a good guess, but you are incorrect, sir.
No.
No,
0-4. Okay. So can I get a second guess?
you could get a second guess. No, I
All
didn't.
right.
I didn't necessarily say 0-4. I said below 500 in the first 4 games, so they could have gone 1-3.
Okay. Through the first 4 games, they're
Through the
below
first four
500,
games, they were
and they're the
below
only team to win the
500.
Super Bowl.
Only team to win the Super Bowl.
That Giants team would have been.
This
That was
quarter.
my
So,
100%
so,
my first guess, because they
so,
were 9-7 that year with Eli, right?
so I'll give you a hint.
Okay.
The quarterback for this team is not in the Hall of Fame.
Not in the Hall of Fame quarterback, so it had to be a team with a great defense. So the first thing that comes to mind is the 2000 Ravens.
No.
Okay, 2002 Buccaneers.
No.
1985 Bears.
No, you're gonna kick yourself for this one. You ready for it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The 2001 Patriots with Mr. Tom Brady when he came in for Drew Bledsoe. Tom Brady's not in the Hall of Fame yet, sir. Got you there. Got you there.
The trick question.
It wasn't a trick question. I
For
told you the quarterback
surefire Hall
wasn't.
of Famer.
Hey, I just said the quarterback wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet. Oh well, he wasn't in the Hall of Fame. That's all I said. But yes,
Mm-hmm.
the 2001 Patriots, they started the season 1-4, and
What
then
game did Bledsoe go out? He
uh
went out, came back.
game game 2, I think, because I think starting from game 3 that year, Brady took over.
Okay,
Either game 3 or game 4 of that year,
right.
Brady took over, and
And
then
it was
it
in
was,
the playoffs where Brady got hurt, and Bledsoe came in and won a game, and then they went right back to Brady because it wasn't
mhm.
a long term. Okay, I
So,
got you.
yep.
That's a
All
good
right.
question. That was a good question.
All right, what you got
Dang.
for us on
I danced around it too. I said 2000,
You
2002. It
did.
was like right in the middle.
You
That's too
did.
funny.
But I knew me saying that it wasn't a Hall of Fame quarterback, that it was gonna throw you off because now
Yeah.
you're gonna start thinking of like all these just maybe like a Trent Dilfer or like that guy. I saw that's
Yeah, of
where you were
course.
going.
Exactly
Like
where I
one
went
of
to. I
those
went to
type of
Trent Dilfer,
quarterbacks.
Brad Johnson. Who was the Bears quarterback? Was it
That was Cutler.
no, they didn't win the Super Bowl
Oh,
though,
they
did they
didn't
that
win.
year?
No, the Colts beat them. That's right. The
Yeah.
Colts.
So no, I was thinking about the '85 Bears. So
Oh,
who was it? Oh, Jim McMahon.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I knew that part was gonna throw you a little bit. But all right, what you
Mm-hmm.
got
Mm-hmm.
for us for kicks this week?
All right, kicks of the week. Let's make sure that we give credit to Sneaker News. Went back to them
Ooh,
this week.
these are
All
nice.
right, these are the born and raised Nike SB Dunks. They were delayed a couple of times for a sad reason. The designer passed away, so they delayed the release of them. But these I've been watching these for a while, man. I want to scroll down and kind of give you some different views of it.
Okay.
These come out the 28th. The retail is 130. But these like the design on these. So these right here, and it says it's a few different places, but one block at a time. All
Okay.
right. So this is the born and raised. So this is kind of like this is where I'm from. This says on the turf right here. I'm more of a fan of the SB dunks than I am the more fashionable dunks. I like the thicker tongues to them. I like the more girthy feel to it. But
Okay.
yeah,
Hey,
that's the kicks of the week.
those things are
Clean
nice.
style.
Things are nice. All right. Well, I feel like we held it down.
Yeah, we held it down.
Hopefully our boy's
Hopefully,
doing well in his little tryouts. For the
yeah.
WWE or
I wonder what he
whatever it
chose for
was.
his workout music.
Yeah. Oh, that would be a great question. We got to ask
It
him.
would be
Figure
like
out what he.
if he goes with the plumber, it can be like Mario. It'd be like doot doot doot, and it comes out. You know how like the glass used to break for Stone Cold,
Yeah.
right? And then it'd be like doot doot doot, and then they're like, yeah, the plumber laying pipe comes out with a wrench, something like that. We got to figure
Yeah,
out what he's wearing. What is he a spandex guy? Which way is he
well,
going with it?
I guess we're gonna have plenty of questions to ask him next week. So we'll definitely, you guys
He's probably not
definitely
even gonna
got to
watch the show.
tune in.
He's not gonna be one of our viewers this week.
Oh man. Oh well. But yes, definitely another great show, another great night.
Yeah, a good time.
Follow us. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram, Kicks, Cleats, and Athletes. Follow us on YouTube, Kicks, Cleats, and Athletes. We have our show streaming live too on Tuesday nights. So you could always check in and, watch us live, things like that. If you're interested in wanting to be a guest on our show, just shoot us a
Let us
DM
know.
on the gram and, we'll get back to
We're
you
all
and let
about it.
you know.
We're
But,
all about it. We could talk about your team, my team. You can. Hey, I got on my soapbox tonight. You can get on here with it. We'll listen to you.
yeah, for
We'll tell
real.
you the truth on how we feel about it too. Jason didn't let me down. He told me that my team sucked, but it's easy to say that when your team just dropped 70.
It is easy. It is easy. But I know it's gonna be a day you gonna come. Well, I won't say you guys because EJ's a Dolphin fan with me, so I know it's gonna be a day you're gonna come for both of us, and I'll be ready for it. But all in all, like I said, another good night. Thank you for listening to Kicks, Cleats, and Athletes. We out.
We out.